everyone, welcome back to Learn Economia. With this section or with this video, we have started the lessons in net coaching or JRF coaching. So we are planning to start with macroeconomics. The first topic in macroeconomics is national income concept and measurement. So the very same has been selected for this video. I hope you will be able to clear some of your doubts after watching this video. If you want to have any of your doubts to get it clarified, you can please comment. I'll be giving you my Telegram channel and Telegram group link right below the video. You can search in the description box. I'll be giving that I'll be giving both the Telegram channel link and Telegram group link there. So if you have any doubts regarding the topic which I have covered here, you can share it there. I'm really glad to clarify your doubts. And let me tell you one more thing. Before starting the video, actually what I have done is that I have taken the essence of all the concepts or all the methods of measurement in this video, and if you want any of the concepts or measurement to be explained in a detailed manner, you can give your suggestion or you can give your comment in the Telegram group or YouTube channel, whatever it may be, and that is your choice. Anyway, my request is that don't go with doubts. If you want any doubts to be clarified, I am really happy to help you. Okay, with that we start today's lesson, that is national income concept and measurement. So this is something which I have shared with you already in some of our previous videos. So if any of you are watching the channel for the first time, for those people, I would like to give you my intro. I am working as a head in charge in Department of Economics in one of the reputed aided colleges at the University of Kerala. I am a PhD holder. Also, I'm a first rank holder in BA Economics as well as MA Economics, and also I have qualified UGC NET thrice and also UGC JRF twice in economics. With that, we can start today's lesson. So starting with national income, we have been listening to the concept for years, right? From if you have taken this humanities for your plus 1 plus 2 classes, you might have heard national income. Even before that, I think the concept of national income has been discussed even in 9th standard textbook of economics of NCERT. So I hope it is clear to all of you. For ones who are not that much familiar with the definition of national income, this video would be very much helpful to you. So I'll be explaining you the concept as simple as it is. Okay, now national income, as we all know, it is considered to be an uncertain term, and this term national income is used interchangeably with many other terms like national dividend, national output, national expenditure and all. So on this basis, you can consider national income can be understood in diverse manners, or it could be defined in different ways, or it could be understood from diverse aspects. Okay, so what we are going to understand in this video is we will be looking at the commonly accepted definition of national income. For that, we have to understand the economic scenario of a nation. Okay, whether it is India or USA or whatever it is, just consider a nation. So the national income of a particular nation or the income of a particular nation is the total value of goods and services produced produced annually in a country. So when I say annually, you have to look into the financial year. Okay, because it is something, national income is something that is accounted. So for accounting and all, it is very much essential that you look into the financial year. Rather than looking into the calendar year, we take the case of financial year in order to compute and assess and account and interpret national income. So national income, we can say that it is the total amount of income which come to a country from all the economic activities in a year. Okay, so this is the national income. So it is the sum total of all the income which come to a country or accruing to a country, which will include all the payments. It will include all the income from all the resources like wages, interest, rent, profit, etc. So you can say that it is a net result of all the economic activities of a country during a particular period. That is, we refer to 1 year, and this is valued in terms of money. Now, if you look at the definitions of national income, there have been two different commonly accepted definitions. The one is known as the traditional definition, and the other one is known as a modern definition. And the traditional definition, when you come to traditional definition aspect, you could see that this kind of definition has been given by three different economists, Marshall, Pigou and Fisher, and the modern definition is mainly given by Simon Kuznets. Now, coming to the Marshallian definition of national income, let's see how Marshall has defined the concept national income. So, as per Marshall, the labor and capital of a country acting on its natural resources produce annually a certain net aggregate of commodities, material and immaterial things, including services of all kinds, and this is true to the net annual income or the revenue of a country or the national dividend. This is how Marshall has defined national income, and here the concept net refers to the deductions from the gross national income in respect of depreciation for capital equipment used in the creation of some productive activity, and it must be added to the income from abroad. So we will be trying to understand the difference between the concept of net and gross, and how depreciation is acting as a link between net and gross. We will be looking into that in a detailed manner in this video itself. Okay. Now we have to understand, by considering the definition given by Marshall, we have to understand some of the features or some of the characteristics of national income. We have already seen that it is measured or computed annually, and it includes the value of goods and services, and it includes the goods and services which are produced by labor and capital of a country with the help of the natural resources, whereas it excludes depreciation and debasement of capital goods. At the same time, it includes the net foreign investment in a country, and also it excludes those goods and services which are produced by friends, relative or organizations which is free of cost. Now, Professor Marshall's definition is actually one of the widely accepted definition, but that doesn't mean that the definition is free from criticism. The definition itself is actually facing a lot of limitation, especially with regard to certain problems of double counting. It says that many other economists are saying that the definition is actually avoiding the concept of double counting. On that basis, it has been criticized, and also it is told that it is not very easy to ascertain or to make any kind of statistical correct estimate of total production of goods and services in an economy. At the same time, Marshall is giving a definition and telling that national income is the sum total of all the it's a money value of all the goods and services produced in an economy. So we have to and also ask the question how to make allowance for the proportion of produce which is kept for self-consumption. So this question is also not answered in the definition given by Marshall, and also there is a problem of current base year prices which are ignored. So these are the main problems faced by the definition of Marshall. With that, let's move on to the definition given by Pigou, and Pigou is considered to be one of the followers of Marshall, and he has given his own definition. Pigou has given his own definition of national income, and his definition of national income is measured in terms of money. So in terms, as per Pigou, we can see that national income or the national dividend is that part of objective income of a community, including income derived from abroad, which can be measured in terms of money. Okay, and this definition is considered to be something better than the one given by Marshall, and it has proved some of the practical sense also. So it's considered to be much more practical than the one given by Marshall. And the definition given by Pigou is also considered to be to an extent it is giving more importance to money, right? So all those goods which are given as gifts, bounties, presents, etc., are actually not included in the national income because it is not counted as something in the production process. So Pigou's definition is used in the exchange economy where goods and services are exchanged for money only, and this definition takes into consideration the net value of the goods and services which are exported as well as imported. Now, although we could see that Pigou's definition is very much simple, practical and precise, it doesn't mean that it is free from criticism. It too faces certain criticism. So let's move on to the criticism faced by Pigouian definition of national income. So the first case is that a national income estimate, we know that it will account for those goods and services which are exchanged for money, but this is not appropriate for especially underdeveloped economies where especially in the case of rural areas we could see that barter system has been practiced. Okay, so in those cases we cannot apply the definition given by Pigou in order to compute national income. Now, secondly, we could see that the measuring root of money, that is something defective to an extent. This makes the calculation of national income faulty. Now, as per Pigou, the services rendered by women enter into national dividend when these are rendered in exchange for money, whether it is in factory or home. But this do not enter into national income when they are rendered by members and wives of the family. For example, he has given an example. Just assume a situation in which a man is employing a person from outside for money in order to carry out all the housekeeping and house cleaning activities. So in this case, if the person is employing a homemaid or housemaid, he would be the employer would be paying some remuneration for which the person is working, right? But consider another situation in which the person or the employer marries the employed person. Then what happens is that the person who was working as a homemaid has now become the wife of the person who was the employer in the past. So at this point, earlier the person has been paid, earlier the homemaid was paid, and now the homemaid is not paid. So you can understand the difference. So if some act is carried by a family member, you are not paying for that family member, whereas if some act is carried, whereas if the same act, if it is carried out by some others, especially by some people from outside your family, you will be paying that person. So if even though both these parties are doing the same kind of activity or the same kind of effort or the same kind of work, if it is carried out by someone from your own family, you are not making any payment, and this portion is actually neglected from national income computation, and this is one of the important point which is used to criticize Pigouian definition of national income. Now moving to the Fisher's definition, or the definition given by Fisher, you could see that Fisher, what he has done is that he has highlighted the consumption part here. Okay, whereas in the other cases, Marshall and Pigou, they have given importance to the production part, but Fisher highlighted the consumption part. As per Fisher, the national dividend or the national income consists solely of services rendered by the ultimate consumer, whether from their material or from human environments. Okay, and for example, he has taken some example like the case of piano or overcoat, and this, if it is made for this year, is actually not a part of national income of this year, but it's an addition to the capital. Only the services rendered to especially the delivery services and all during this particular year would be counted into the national income of this year. Now, Fisher's definition is considered as something which is better than the ones given by Marshall and Pigou, especially because Fisher's definition, it provides an adequate concept of national or economic welfare which is dependent upon consumption, and consumption is considered to be something that represents your standard of living. The kind of commodities that you consume would actually reflect your standard of living. If you are consuming some costly products, that means that you are a person who have a luxury kind of standard of living. And if you're consuming some kind of necessity items, like some cheap items, that too necessities, that means that you are trying very hard to sustain your life. Now here too you could see some criticisms. For example, you could see that it's very difficult to estimate the money value of net consumption than the case of net production. Since Fisher is giving importance to consumption rather than production, this is very important to highlight here. And also we know that certain consumption goods are durable and it lasts for many years. And if we consider the example of piano and all, only services rendered to us during the year would be counted for computing national income. All the other production related costs and all, or the production related expenditure and all, won't be counted as national income, won't be counted into computation of national income. Now with that we move on to the modern definition, the one given by Kuznets. And Kuznets is considered to be an expert advisor to the National Income Estimate Committee of India in 1949, and also he has got some practical experience of estimating national income in both India as well as USA. And as per his view, the concept of national income, it should be simple, but simple from the theoretical point of view. At the same time, it should be difficult from the practical point of view. This is what Kuznets has opinion. And Kuznets defined national income as the net output of commodities and services flowing in a year from country's productive system in the hands of ultimate consumers into net addition to a country's capital goods. So in practical life, we could understand that while estimating national income of whether we are using the definition given by Pigou or Marshall or Fisher or Kuznets, we can adopt any of these definition because the national income is something that would be derived if different, because all these definitions are correct, but we have to understand one thing, that whether we follow all these definitions, we should arrive at a particular figure, and that should reflect the national income of a nation or the income of a nation. Now we have to see which is the best definition. So if we understand which is the best definition, that so that we can use the same for computing national income of national income or the income of a nation, so that we can assure that the income that we have computed is free from most of the limitations that computation of national income is facing. Now with that we can see that we could identify that there have been certain features for some definitions to be the best, or in order to say that this definition is best, the definition has to fulfill certain conditions. First of all, it should be the net aggregator goods and services. Now only those goods and services which are taken into consideration are produced by the productive system of an economy, and this should be included in the national income. And also we have to consider annual report, or the period of production should be taken as 1 year. Okay, and in order to avoid the problem of double counting and all, we have to take only those goods which either go into the hands of ultimate consumer or used by the productive systems such as capital goods. And also national income is actually, it's a flow concept. It's a flow of goods and services, and it is a continuous one. Here also we could understand that the definition which takes into consideration of computation of national income, here we have to understand the concept of domestic income and foreign income. Okay, domestic income and national income. Further, the estimation of national income is actually, it is something that is the ultimate consumer case. So here the ultimate consumer is coming into the picture, but in many cases the ultimate consumers are ignored. So we formally undertake the value of goods which we get in exchange for commodity. Now coming to the measures of national income, we have been listening to various concepts like GDP, per capita income, personal income, national income, etc. So we have to understand which measure should be understood, or how these measures are different from one another. And for the purpose of measurement and analysis, we can see that a national income, it can be viewed as an aggregate of various components, various flow components. Okay, and the most comprehensive measure of aggregate income is known as the GNP, or the gross national product at market prices. So let's understand the various concepts or various measures of national income. So now just look into the gross and net concept. Here the gross, it actually means that there is no allowance made for capital consumption, and here depreciation is yet to be deducted. So whereas in the case of net, you could see that net indicates a provision of capital consumption has already been made, or net depreciation is already deducted. So when you say gross, it means that it takes into consideration both net as well as depreciation, whereas in the case of net, that means that gross minus depreciation. Okay, that is net. So the linking factor between gross and net concepts is depreciation. Now coming into the national and domestic concept, the term national denotes the aggregate. So the national and domestic concept, here the main factor is the domestic boundary of a nation. Okay, so the term national denotes the aggregate under consideration, represents the total income which accrues to the normal residents of a country due to their participation in the world production during a current year, and it is possible to measure the value of total output or income originating from the specified geographical boundary of a country, which is known as a domestic territory, and the resulting measure is known as domestic product. Now coming to the difference between the market price and factor cost. Here for valuing national product at market prices, this indicates that the total amount actually paid to the final buyers, while the valuation of product at factor cost means the total amount earned by factors of production of their contribution to the final output. That means that the difference between market price and factor cost is the net indirect taxes. Net indirect taxes means indirect taxes minus subsidies. Okay, so the linking factor between the market price and factor cost is net indirect taxes. Now coming to the difference between national and domestic product, here we take the case of gross national product and gross domestic product. As we have already told you, national and domestic, the linking factor is net factor income from abroad. Okay, whether you are adding the net factor income from abroad to domestic product so as to make it the national product. For some purposes, we need to find the total income generated from production within the territorial boundaries of an economy, irrespective of whether it belongs to the inhabitants of that particular nation or not. And such income is known as a gross domestic product, and GDP is GNP minus net factor income from abroad. So the linking factor between the national and between the national and domestic is the net factor income from abroad. So please understand that. Now coming to the case of net national product. When you say net national product, this is very much closer to what we have already started with national income. Okay, the net NNP, this is the alternative or closely related measure of national income, and it differs from GNP by only one respect that we know, right? G and N. I mean the the net national product and the gross national product, the linking factor, what is that? Depreciation. Now that is GNP is equal to NNP minus depreciation. And NNP includes the net private investment, while GNP includes the gross private investment. Now, coming to the next concept, that is personal income. Personal income is actually calculated by subtracting the national income from those kinds of income which are earned but not received, and adding those kinds of received but not currently earned kind of income. For example, you can, so by simple definition or by simple notation, you can see that the national personal income is the NNP at FC minus undistributed profit minus corporate tax plus transfer payments. And coming to disposable income, and disposable income, this is the total income that you actually have with you in order to, and you are free to dispose it. You are free to make any kind of purchase out of your disposable income. So that means that disposable income is your personal income after paying for taxes. So it differs from personal income by the amount of taxes that you pay. Now coming to the concept value added. The value added is a very useful device, and this is to find, or this is used to find out the exact amount that is added at each stage of production to the value of the final product. And the value added is defined as the difference between value of output produced by that firm which you are concerned about and the total expenditure incurred by this firm on materials and intermediate products purchased from the business and a business of other firms. Now let's understand the case for just take into the case of a farmer who is producing wheat. The miller would be purchasing wheat from the farmer, and he will be converting this wheat into what? Flour, wheat flour, and he will be selling it in the market. And what happens is that the baker would be coming and purchasing this wheat flour from the miller in order to purchase cake, and in order to prepare cakes. And the ultimate consumer would be going to bakery and purchase the cake. See, at each stage of production, one commodity is transformed into another, and in this each stage of transformation, what happens is that value is added to the product, and ultimately the value of final product would be different from the value of intermediate products that you use to create the final product. Now let's go to the methods of measuring national income. Basically, we use three different methods: the product approach, the income approach, and expenditure approach. The product approach, here in this case, the national income is measured as a flow of goods and services. Value of money of all the final goods and services produced during a particular year is counted, and the final goods, as we all know, it is something that is directly consumed and it is not used for further production process. In this case, the sectors like forestry, agriculture, mining are used to estimate gross and net value. Okay, now coming to the income approach. In income approach, what we use is that we have to compute, we have to add all the incomes in the nation, that we have to add the income paid to labor, the income paid to capital, the one paid to land, entrepreneurship, etc. So this is known as a distribution approach or distributed approach. Now thirdly, we have expenditure approach, and we have to take into consideration all the expenditure made by the nation. For example, we have to add the consumption expenditure, net domestic investment, government expenditure, and also the net foreign investment. So let's understand each of these in detail. Coming to the product approach, this is it's a full of all goods and services which are produced during a particular year, and here we look into the final value. Okay, for the final value of all the currently produced goods and services in a particular year, we will be including the agriculture and allied services, mining, manufacturing, business, public administration, etc. So here we will be getting the gross value added. And now coming to the income approach, as we all have seen, it is the sum of your wages, salaries, rent, interest, profit, etc. So this is known as a distributed approach. Here it is the flow concept. Here too it's a flow concept. It's a flow of all the factor incomes. Now coming to the expenditure approach, which will take into consideration the consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure, and your net exports. And here national income is measured as a flow of expenditure incurred by the society in a particular year. Okay, so with that we end. Thank you for watching this channel. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos, and I'll be giving my Telegram group and Telegram channel link, the link of both these in the description box, so you can use this. And if you have any doubts, any ideas to be clarified and all, you can mention that in the comment box, or you can use the Telegram group or Telegram channel. So with that, I would like to end. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos. Thank you again.